Simon Harris is on the line here in relation to the scenes in Limerick last night. Minister, what do you have to say about what happened in Limerick last night?
Well, two principal things to say, Andrea. Firstly, what happened last night was beyond unacceptable, not too far away from those scenes in Limerick. There are patients fighting for their lives in University Hospital Limerick, and there are nurses and doctors and healthcare assistants and others working round the clock to save lives. And to say it was a kick in the gut or a slap in the face is probably an understatement to that work. The second point I would make, though, and it is an important point, is we have about 300,000 students in higher education in Ireland. We have 16,500 students registered with the University of Limerick. Most students are sacrificing a hell of a lot. Most students, like all of us, are suffering a lot. And most students are abiding by the rules. So I would hate all students to get tarred with one brush.
Okay, fair point, Minister. But there's an awful lot of people who were at that event last night. We're hearing the guts of in the region of nearly about 100 people at one point. And similar to those that you've mentioned that are fighting for their lives in hospital in Limerick, there are plenty of people who are now have business decimated in Limerick, that have businesses that have closed. There are people in receipt of the pandemic unemployment payment. I mean, this is an absolute kick in the face to them as well.
100%. I mean, this is an attack on our national effort. I mean, anybody who goes out and breaks public health rules is actually trying to set us back as a country. I mean, it is utterly indefensible. But let me be very clear. This has been taken extremely seriously by the Garda. I understand there were 3 arrests made. There may be more to follow. I understand there were 30 on-the-spot fines issued. And crucially, from my perspective as Minister for Higher Education, I've spoken to the President of the University of Limerick on a number of occasions late last night and again this morning. I've also spoken to the Chancellor of that university, and disciplinary action up to and including expulsion will now be examined for any student.
Okay. Because I wanted to ask you about those sanctions. I know we've invited the UL President to join us here on the show on Lunchtime Live. That invite still stands. We'd love to speak to them today. But we do have a statement from UL, and they say that they're going to take strong disciplinary measures against any student who's been found to breach public health guidelines. There is too a code of conduct, and any students that have, I suppose, breached or broken the UL code of conduct, they too will face the full rigour of the disciplinary process. So you as Higher Education Minister here are saying that could be up to and including expulsion.
It could, and I don't want to prejudice the process, but from my conversations with President Kerstin Mey, the President of the University of Limerick, and that's absolutely the intention of the university, and it's important. It's actually, I mean, I think the people I'm finding are nearly the most angry this morning are other students who feel desperately let down. They're sacrificing things. They haven't been to college. They're doing college maybe in the box room or the corner of the kitchen table, and they see these group of their peers out breaking rules. And it reflects poorly on all students, and that's unfair. That is unfair. So I think it's important. Students sign a code of conduct. The code of conduct says that you will abide by the public health regulations. If you breach those public health regulations, there has to be the most serious of consequences. There absolutely has to be, and there will be. And not just, may I say, not just in UL. I mean, what happened in Limerick, let this be a message right across the country, wherever you're a student. This sort of carry on just can't happen, because we really want in the coming weeks and months to enable you to get a bit of your life back.
Do you want to see, as Higher Education Minister Harris, do you want to see the college here take firm action against students found to be in breach?
Oh, I absolutely do, but I've absolutely no doubt that that's their intention. We're fully united in that. It is a matter for them and their disciplinary procedures. But I expect the code of conduct and the disciplinary procedures to be applied in full. I think it's important. I think it's important to the people of Limerick, but I think it's also important, as I say, to other students who are abiding by the rules. We can't tolerate this. Very, very different events, but you saw the horrific situation in Dublin at the weekend. We can't actually tolerate mass gatherings. It doesn't matter whether you're a student or not. It is illegal at the moment, and I suppose that is a point worth making. There's 2 parts to this process. There is an ongoing Garda part as well, and that no doubt we'll see. 3 people have been arrested, and no doubt there'll be a process to be followed there.
Yeah, the other thing I noticed, Minister, from speaking to people, listeners, ordinary Joes, out and about carrying out their normal daily business that contact us here on Lunchtime Live. And one of the points they make and have done in recent days is that they feel there's a little bit of a rule of kind of, there's an us and a them rule. So you'll have people who'll be fined or be in breach of crossing their 5 kilometres because maybe they've gone 6.5 or 7 kilometres. And then we see the scenes that we witnessed in Grafton Street in Dublin. There's another protest planned for Cork this weekend. And we look at Limerick then last night. And people feel that, you know what, there seems to be, there's kind of nearly, it's like there's two different approaches that's been taken.
Look, I can understand everybody feeling fed up and frustrated at this stage. I wouldn't agree with that characterisation, though. But I can tell you, and I was on the phone on this issue up to probably midnight last night, and again from about 6:30 this morning. I can tell you this has been taken extremely seriously in Limerick, extremely seriously by the Garda, and extremely seriously by the university authorities as well. There have been arrests. There have been fines handed out, and there will be people facing very serious disciplinary procedures in their college life. And these are not small measures. They're not small actions. They're not actions that anybody takes lightly. Is
it time to pull the plug on students down at the various different student complexes or student accommodation? And I appreciate, by the way, the incident we're talking about in Limerick last night isn't actually student accommodation.
No.
Do you think it's time to pull the plug on having students away at college, because it'll allow for incidents like this to happen? And like, if people are living at home with their folks, this is very unlikely to happen.
Look, I can understand the question, Andrea, but at the same time, these are adults, right? And they have a right to choose to live like any of us do, where they want to live. But there's an obligation on them when they live there to comply with the law. There are different reasons why some students need to live away from home. While the overwhelming majority of college life is now online, practicals can't be done online, lab work can't be done online. Let's be honest, there's some parts of this country where you can't access proper broadband. And let's also be honest that for a whole variety of personal reasons and different families, some people can study at home, be it overcrowding, be it, lots of different reasons. Not everyone's family home is a safe place. So there will always be a reason why some people will need to take up accommodation elsewhere, but it's important when they do that they abide by the rules. And it's very important that they and their families are hearing a very clear message from me today, that if those rules aren't abided by, there will be serious consequences. Not because, we want to talk tough on this, but because there has to be serious consequences. We're making a lot of progress as a country on COVID, but we lost more than 1,000 of our people in the month of January. We are far from out of the woods yet, and we want to be able to reopen our country in the coming weeks and months. We want students and everybody else to be able to meet up with a few people, to be able to get a bit of a life back. But these sort of actions yesterday actually jeopardised that. Yeah. And that's why we can't tolerate it.